Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey, and we have an amazing guest on our show today, Uncommon Jess Schroeder. Everyone, super excited to unpack her story. She's uncommon. I'm going to give you three words that I think of when I describe her, when I think of Jess. I would say determined, super determined woman. She's passionate. And she's a multitasker. Holy cow. Is that not the best bio ever? Jess, welcome to the show. Holy cow. Where do we even start?
Thank you.
First, let's just start with those three words. Pretty decent?
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This is why I said all of them. Determined. I feel like you just got to drive. You're driven. That's kind of what I knew about you first, or kind of like, I don't know. That's what something that just kind of popped out of me first. I was like, okay, she's determined. Type A driver. Second one, super passionate about what she does. And I think that's just attractive in today's world where I think a lot of people are just kind of like zombies, like hating their life, going to Wells Fargo every day. That's not Jess. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. There's two. The other one is multitasker. Your mother, wife, business owner, friend. There's a lot of things going on. So,
Absolutely.
okay, where do we start? First.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So first, Expedition Wellness is your company. Started 5 years ago.
Yep.
And this is always what you wanted to do. This is what you have, like, this is what you're made for.
Honestly, the crazy part is, yes. Yeah.
I was thinking that was going to go the other way.
No, I really truly believe that like I am where I'm supposed to be. I started my career working as the assistant director of nutrition for the West Des Moines School District. And I left there when I was about 5 months pregnant, which, by the way, don't ever leave a job when you're 5 months pregnant. For insurance reasons, I lost all my sick leave. Like I did everything.
If you're uncommon, you can do it. But if not,
it's true. That's a great point. I love that. So then I left, and in this like interim time period, I'm like, I really want to start my own business.
Yeah.
And I want to do this. And I sat down and I started writing my business plan, and I had nothing. I didn't know anybody. I didn't grow up in Des Moines. Like, I'd only lived here for 2 years at that time after I graduated from Iowa State. And so I knew nobody.
Were you married at the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Didn't know anybody. Didn't have anybody in my circle. I didn't know where to start.
Fascinating. So
I decided to go ahead and get another job.
Did you quit your job before you had the business plan?
Well, yes, I did, but I
what was wrong with your job that you were like, I hate my life this much to quit?
Also, it was terrible. It really was terrible.
I totally I'm good with this, but I think it's hilarious. Okay.
Okay.
That you just jumped without a parachute.
Well, so I ended up not doing that though. Like I interviewed for 3 different jobs at the time. There were only 3 jobs available for dietitians at the time that were also part-time, because I went from this assistant director position, which I was working like 70 plus hours a week. Like it was insane. Yeah. And working a job that like I thought I was passionate about, that I always wanted to do, because my boss was in her 60s. I'm like, okay, this is a great opportunity for me to be mentored. Like I could
take it over.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was my dream. And there was another gal that worked there that just made my life living hell. And I had to work directly with her, and it was so bad, and I was so stressed that like I was 5 months pregnant. I'm like, I have to leave this situation.
This is unhealthy for me.
Yeah. So I honestly just wanted to do a complete 180. And for the first time in my life, I worked part-time, which is not me at all. Right. And I realized that very quickly after it happened.
You're determined, right?
Yeah. And Pinterest just came out at that time. So I became very much into DIY projects and all the things. Yeah. And then I had my son, and I got to spend tons of time with him, and it was amazing. But I accepted a part-time position with Mercy Hospital. And it was exactly what I needed at the time. I got to be a mom and just be with my son, and he was my little buddy. We went and did everything together. I got to run as much as I wanted to. I got to do all the things I wanted to do.
As a registered dietitian, right? Okay.
Yep. So yes, a registered dietitian.
Okay, interesting. I just had a conversation this morning. Shout out Sherry. that was going for her undergraduate as a dietitian.
Yeah.
She was like, the only way you can make that successful is by working for a hospital. She like mentioned that. I'm
That's
like, oh,
funny.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can't wait to talk to Jess today.
Yeah.
And that was your path. Okay.
Well, so what's funny is that I kind of did a non-traditional path. Is I started in food service. Yeah,
Okay.
isn't that right? Uncommon, right? I started in food service. Then I went to clinical because I felt like I needed some clinical experience, which is what I advise all new grads coming out. I always say, get your clinical experience. It's so good. And honestly, I loved learning and working with other dietitians that were much older than me and had more experience than me. And I learned so much those years. And then the other thing I found out while I worked there was that I have a passion very specifically for, I already knew this, for helping people. But in the hospital, as a dietitian, you don't really get to help people directly. And it's kind of our system is a mess.
Broken.
It is so broken.
Right.
And by the time we actually get to help people, they've already had an issue. They've already been in for triple heart, bypass surgery. It's not good. And then we get 10 minutes with them to say, here's what you need to do to fix this.
That'll totally
And
change.
they're like, don't tell me to stop eating cheeseburgers, blah, blah, blah. Like,
okay.
That's how it is in the hospital. And I just decided that wasn't for me. But what I did find out, 2 years.
Oh, wow.
2 years. Yeah.
Long suffering.
And, I did my job and it was exactly what I needed in that time period. I clocked in, I clocked out. I didn't have things that I brought home.
And you had a family.
And, it was perfect. It was perfect. But part of my job there is I got to work at the Mercy Weight Loss Center. And that's where I found my love of working specifically with weight loss. And you also get to connect. And that to me is what is so important. And I realized that I'm a person that connects and I have to be able to connect.
Right.
And that's what then led me to my next job, my next stepping stone, which was kind of running my own business, but through a doctor. So I worked at Cook Facial Plastic Surgery, which is a very non-traditional place for a dietitian to be. But they were starting this whole like integrative health division of their company and hired me on to run their weight loss program. And so I worked there for a total of 7 years. And in those years, I built a network.
Yeah.
A huge network.
Right.
And I had clients I had been seeing off and on for many, many years. The difference was that like I got paid a salary versus me having to start up my own business and do it all on my own.
Right.
And then
so you had the safety net of cash flow.
Absolutely.
Is really what
absolutely. So again, non-traditional for a business owner to start out that way in a sense. Sometimes
kind of and kind of not.
But like to have that network, and especially like with what I do, most of these dietitians are starting from scratch because they don't know anybody.
Yep.
Whereas like I already had this huge network of people. I had already been voted best of West Des Moines and like all of these things before I even left there.
Huge.
Which is huge.
So tell me about the agreement that you had with Cook. What was it? Cook?
Facial plastic surgery.
Yes. What was the agreement that you had going into that?
Nothing.
Mm-hmm. This is your division. Mm-hmm. This is your business.
Mm-hmm. Essentially.
You can take those people out whenever you want. Mm-hmm. But while you were there, you had to give them like a percentage of like sales, or how did that work? I just
got paid a salary. So there was no commissions or anything like that. I mean, there was, I guess, after a certain point, once I had brought in a certain amount of money, I did earn like a bonus.
Sure.
Which was great. But
so they gave you the business plan, basically.
Kind of. We were working with a specific program that I had to follow and use. So I didn't really get to choose. Like I had to follow a certain program, which I learned a lot from. Yeah. Right. And then that's essentially then how I developed, from all these different weight loss programs and centers I've worked for. I've kind of taken all that information and what worked, what didn't work. What do I want to change and make my own? Yeah. And that's what I did.
Okay, I'm following you. So 9 years ago, from this point on, you were working with rubbish. It was just a bad situation. Mm-hmm. You jump out, you go work for the hospitals, realize that you like face-to-face interactions, but changes with relationships. Yep. Makes sense. Then you go to Cook Facial, and then you do the deal.
And I work one-on-one with clients there, by the way. Like, that's where I really realized, like, yes, this is what I need.
9 years ago, you started that business plan in your head, and you didn't get it done because you probably just like think about that. That's just neat to see. Like, cool. Okay, so I'm in it. I'm there. Yeah. And then you decide, okay, I can do this. Yeah. So tell me. All right, going back. I just like to. We just do this a lot in the show. Okay. So tell me about like your relationship when you obviously freshly married, now pregnant. How'd that go? Of like, I'm tapping out. What did your husband do? how did those conversations go? Because I feel like you were always uncommon.
Yeah.
And then you kind of realized that like, I got to do my own thing or different than where I'm at because it's not healthy.
Yeah. So when I actually remember the morning, like it was yesterday.
Love it.
I had gotten a text at 4 a.m. from the gal that I worked with at the schools.
BFF?
The BFF, yeah. That person. She texted me and said I needed, because part of my job working there was I had to go fill in for any kitchen manager that called in sick.
Oh my God.
So I got a text at 4 a.m. saying I needed to go fill in at Valley High School to run their kitchen for the day.
Just shoot
and
me.
I'm 5 months pregnant. I'm like stressed, I'm exhausted, and I'm standing next to my husband in the bathroom because he's the personal trainer and fitness director. It used to be Prayer Life in West Des Moines, now it's Genesis. And he's worked there since he graduated college. So he's been there for like 17 years now, 18 years. And he's up getting ready for work. And I just start crying. And I'm like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, where would we take a baby at 5 a.m. randomly?
Valid. Yeah.
And he's like, well, then we got to make some changes. And I'm like, yeah. Like, we need to make them pronto because I can't be called in to go.
This isn't right.
It's not good.
Wow.
And that's what prompted me to then say, like, I really truly need to make a change because it takes a lot for me. Like, I'm determined. Like, I can persevere through anything, and I was determined to try and persevere through that. But when that morning happened, it totally changed my life, and I was like, I can't do this.
Wow.
And it was because of a baby. Because of me. It was because of a baby.
There usually is something. So I have this analogy. So for those who are listening, because Jess is here, welcome. But like, we're financial advisors that really like to empower people to say that you're your best asset. So the way that God's gifted you or the way that you're gifted, there's value there. Yeah. And if you can do that every day, one, you don't really feel like you're working, although you're working 10 times harder than anybody else, but you just don't feel like you're working. But then we like to try to give people a plan to do that. And so I have this analogy. It's like when you go uncommon, you stand up on the bridge and you look around and you tighten up your straps of your parachute and you jump. And that was your moment of like, and there's a lot of times where like, you don't voluntarily just stand up on the bridge. It's like something had to happen where like, this bridge is burning down anyway. We might as well
absolutely
give it a jump.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened to you. And so, but I would say that although your uncommon path probably traced back to that point, it's very neat to see how there was other ways, maybe like a zip line that you were holding on to over a cast.
Life.
Until you let go. So now we're back. Okay. You decide, listen, I got the West Des Moines best of the best of the best. I'm doing this on my own.
So actually what prompted that is we actually, I got a text from my manager at the time that on a Sunday that said, can you meet Monday morning at 8 a.m.? And what's funny is I had been trying to set up meetings with my manager and my boss at the time, and they just were always too busy or whatever, just couldn't find the time. And so that night, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my job tomorrow.
No.
And he's like, what?
Okay.
He's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, you're killing.
And I'm like, I just have this feeling. And he's like, I think you're reading too much into that text message. And I said, no, for me, I'm very intuitive. I observe things very closely. I can tell when people are off, and I could tell that something was off, even like around the office, the days leading up to this text. And the fact that like I had wanted to set up a meeting prior to that,
couldn't get it done,
and nobody would, let me, in and have this conversation. And because I evaluated my own numbers a lot, and I was always, monitoring my own progress to see how I was doing and see what I could do to improve. Nobody was there like saying, Jess, you need to do this. Like this is what, of course,
which is an owner's like dream come true. Thank you very much.
Right. I would think so.
Right.
And so then, sure enough, that Monday morning at 8 a.m., I lost my job.
No. Yeah. And what was their reasoning without getting?
They decided to discontinue offering nutrition services as a part of their.
Okay. Let's just take a quick pause. Praise the Lord. Thank you very much. But again, somebody else pushed you off pushed you off the zip line that you were on. Like,
and I'm still very close, like with them. Right. And honestly, that's what, made it all great is that she, my boss at the time, was so kind to me. And it happened the very first Monday of June. And she has 4 children of her own. And so she knew me going into summer. She made sure I had a severance. She made sure my kids would be, like she really put me first, in that situation. Right. She's like, I know that, we're not continuing with nutrition and that's not us.
Keep doing it.
But like, we appreciate you and like all that you've done. Like that just really meant a lot to me. But literally that morning, or the night before when I got that text, my brain was just like, okay, what am I going to do? There's nowhere I want to work. There's nowhere I don't want to work for Hy-Vee. I don't want to work for a hospital. I don't want to work anywhere. So I'm like thinking about, okay, is this the time when I'm supposed to start a business? So that was Sunday night. Monday, I find out 8 a.m. By 2 p.m. that afternoon. Yeah. And I had talked with my husband too.
Yeah.
I decided I was starting my business.
Heck yeah, you did.
6 hours later.
That's amazing. And the business plan was just like, and there it is. Boom.
I didn't really have a full on business plan, but like I didn't need one because I knew what I was doing. I was confident. Right. Like I have all the right people in my corner now. I had an accountant. I had a lawyer. I had a bookkeeper. I had a marketing and a website person. I had everything in my corner at that point.
Great.
I'm like, this is the universe telling me, go get it.
Expedition Wellness started 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I know. It's crazy.
There it is.
June 13th.
Wow.
2019.
Oh, that's coming up on the old 5 years. Mm-hmm. That's sweet.
I know we gotta have a celebration.
Fun? I know you should.
I did a celebration because, of course, my 1 year anniversary landed right smack dab in COVID.
I'm sure.
So we did a 2 year celebration. Had a DJ, had everything. It was super fun.
Love it.
But we haven't done anything big since, so we'll have to think of something fun.
No pressure. Okay, so tell us like the first, not week, but the first like stages of Expedition Wellness.
Yeah.
Was it like, did it go off like you thought it was going to? Give me all the details. I love it.
Again, so uncommon because I feel like in most situations, especially like with clients, you're dealing with like a non-compete or something else. I didn't have any of that.
That's why I asked, like, what was your...
Yeah. So I basically... within 30 days, I had my business up and running. Wow. So just so everybody knows, like and if you can just imagine when you're working with people specifically in weight loss and they have goals and they need accountability, you got to think fast. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you're going to lose everybody because they're going to go find something else. Right.
Right. And it's almost like an excuse for them to be like, well, it didn't work out.
Exactly. And I didn't want that.
I'll say that for you.
Thank you. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I was determined to get everything up and running they let me phase out. So I had the month of June to phase out. And so that's exactly what I did. I had everything ready to go. And then I already had this family vacation plan to go. We did the Epic, South Dakota, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons. We're big national park people. So we did that whole vacation. I came back the next day, moved in my stuff to my office, and I opened up the next day.
And you had an office outside?
So, believe it or not. So my office was at the Spa at West Glen at that point. And my office is at Regis. And so it literally was across the way. I could point to my new office from my old office.
Wow.
And I just told all my clients, I said, that's where I'm going. And I'm going to be.
Need to be.
Yep, that's where you need to be. Is just right over there. And I will see you there, next week or when I get back from vacation. Yeah.
Percentage wise, 100%?
Gosh, I would say probably 80 to 90 people followed me.
All you needed was
60. Yeah, exactly. And where I went wrong though, is
give it to me.
I didn't price things out right.
Yeah, never do.
No, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I will openly admit that. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't price things correctly.
We always value what we're good at lower, and then we know the business owner, so we'd be like, I can give you a deal. Yep. I know the guy; he's pretty cool. Yeah,
and that's honestly like I care so much for my clients, and I was just so grateful that they were following me that I felt like I could not charge them anymore because they'd already paid a large amount at the spa, my previous place. And a lot of these people were, just coming in for follow-ups at that point anyways. It's not like I was onboarding them or anything. And so I didn't feel right charging more than I did.
Which I get. I think that's valid.
Yeah. But then I screwed myself over. So I had like all this income coming in before I even opened my doors. Honestly, people were buying packages, or the one package I had in June before I even opened. And I was like, oh man, this is great. Like, I got this.
Yes. And then expenses hit you in the face.
Yes. And where I went wrong was my opening deal, I had a punch card. Okay. Oh. So in the weight loss world, I will tell you up front, my worst month of the entire year is July.
Because everyone's out and about.
Everyone's traveling. All everyone wants to do is drink, eat, do all the things that, make them gain weight.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to think about it for the month of July. So July is my slowest month. So I had no additional income really coming in then in July.
Okay.
And even August was okay.
Right.
And then I started a 12-week program, which was what I launched in September. And I had quite a few people sign up for it.
Yeah.
But then that's all I had.
Oof.
So then nobody was signing up for
initial, influx, and then
again, same thing. So come October, so what? I'm in it for 4 or 5 months at that point. I had no income, nothing.
That doesn't feel great.
And as a business owner, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I got to do something. And so I quickly pivoted and I figured out some ways to like get some quick income. And then I switched gears starting in November. I started with my membership program, which is what I currently have. And although the pricing has evolved and the memberships have evolved, it was still then that monthly income at that point.
Wow.
But I had no models to really go off of because I'm kind of a first of my kind. And so I'm just trying to develop it all from scratch and not knowing what the heck I'm doing.
You can see why I want you on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. How many employees do you have currently?
Like 15, I think.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah. And you're going places. We're not talking about your future quite yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what's your husband's name? I already love this guy.
Brian.
Gosh, Brian. Thanks, buddy.
Yes.
You're the best.
Yeah.
And so throughout the whole time, he was just consistent with what he was doing. Just personal training, Genesis or wherever.
Yep. So he's the fitness director and he manages all the trainers and he does a little bit of personal training himself. But he's more on the management side of things. That pars well with what you guys do. Absolutely.
So you guys
that's where we met in college. So
knockout, drag out fights about food or anything. You're just like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
He's okay with it.
Yeah. It works great.
2 kids now.
Two kids. Yep.
What is their ages?
So we have Braden, who I'm pretty much calling him 14 now because he'll be 14 in July. And I was just talking with clients this morning about the whole permit thing. And my mind is just going crazy with that. And then my daughter, Zoe, is 10.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pivot because everybody knows on the show that you've listened to in the past. You just know I kind of just wing this thing. But we always have really good episodes. But today I've done some research.
Ooh.
Good old chat GPT. What is it? GPT? I said, chat GPT, give me 4 questions to ask Jess, business owner. And I said, expedition wellness. And this is the 4 questions I had. You ready for this?
Yep, go for it. Oh boy.
Okay. You've spoken about the importance of reclaiming your narrative in the wellness space. Can you elaborate on what this means and how the listeners can begin to do this in their own lives?
Wow.
I know. I was like, okay, first off, this is either going to be really good or bad. So you could be like, pass, this is dumb. But I feel like it's pulling it from somewhere.
Deep. Wow. When did I say that?
I don't know. Wait, I need to probably say that I was like, give me 4 thought-provoking questions.
Those are very much, I'm going to have to copy those down just to like have for future reference.
Okay. But then I got to like really give you the full narrative because then I was like, okay, I wonder how good these are. So I said, give me 3 questions for Phillip Ramsey, the owner of Uncommon Wealth Partners. And mine were rubbish. So I was like, okay, this might be really bad. But I actually think if you've ever said that in your past, reclaiming your own narrative in the wellness space, have you ever said that? I feel like that could be something you should.
I don't think I have, but I mean, if I did, say that. If I did,
it had it in quotation marks. Okay, Jess?
Wow. I wonder what's pulling them.
Okay, so that's one. You can just answer one of these. That'd be fun. All right. Many people struggle with feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information available on health and wellness. I'm like, okay, going well. What advice do you have for the narrative for navigating this information overload and finding a reliable source? I was like, okay, now that one's decent.
Another great one. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So out of those 2, which one do you want to answer?
Oh gosh. I mean, I'll answer both.
Okay. Hit me.
So when it comes to reclaiming my space in the wellness world, I would say, dietitians are so hidden in the world right now.
Yep.
And I think
hidden meaning what?
Hidden meaning, okay, think about the hospital.
Yeah. Okay, they're like behind the scenes.
When have you ever seen a dietitian at the hospital?
Yeah, never.
You see nurses, you see doctors, you see therapists, you see everybody else except the dietitian. It's very rare.
Right.
They're like this hidden, like magical universe somewhere. Right. It's somewhere in the hospital.
And you're hoping that they have some influence on what you're eating, but you don't know.
No, they don't, because the hospital gets to
perhaps food, by the way.
Yeah, because the doctors decide what diet they're going to be on. The dietitians don't have any say in that, by the way.
Huh.
Yep. Nowadays, like you can recommend something, but the doctor still has to okay it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And I won't say anymore because I could go on with that. And then think about like all the popular places dietitians are.
Yeah.
You got Hy-Vee.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a dietitian at
Never. I've seen a picture of her.
But where are they?
Yeah, nowhere. So it doesn't help. So it's just
like 2020, they laid off a lot of dietitians and then they made them, pharmacy techs of some sort. And now they're just not in the stores.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And somebody listening from Hy-Vee can correct me on that. If want,
yeah, they're like, what?
Yeah.
But
they're very hidden. And so how are we expected to truly help people if we're hidden?
Right.
I'm one of the only dietitians that's actually just out there. Many dietitians are hidden, and you have to really search to find them. Yeah. And one of the things that is kind of a side passion of mine outside of helping people, it's also helping dietitians help other people, right? Because I feel like so many dietitians, I don't know if it's just in the blood or in our education or what, but they're just not confident in what they're doing.
It was for you to build a business plan. It's just not. Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, and then what will people pay? Like it's just kind of your uncharted territory.
Exactly, and I think that fear stops many dietitians from moving forward with their own business and what they can do with that. And and I don't know if that's from the industry and like what has been said or done, but it's unfortunate, and I am really out there to try and change it. So.
And you're doing it. Well, because not only are you giving people a platform, you're kind of like, no, you have value and you're seen. Yeah. And so how are we going to get you out to go help more people? Yeah. Because that's the point. You wouldn't be a dietitian if you didn't want to go.
If you talk to every dietitian and ask them why they became a dietitian, it's because they want to help people.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to the second question. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of information. Yeah. And how do you navigate that world of where do I go next?
So honestly, again, it kind of piggybacks off of the other question, right? Like find the professionals. Stop going to the spas and the wellness clinics that have their, Botox injectors now injecting Ozempic and other shots in your butt to lose weight. Right. But what are you learning from that? Yeah. You're learning nothing. You're not learning what food you should be eating, how much you should be eating. And I'm talking not just generalized stuff. We create individualized plans for every single person based on their body, not some, random stuff.
And their goals.
Absolutely. Right. Versus just getting a shot. And what are you learning from that?
Yeah, nothing.
Like, it does the job, because it causes you to not eat.
But it just puts a Band-Aid on like a gaping wound.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your process of Expedition Wellness for clients?
So we always start with a complimentary consult. I think it's very, very important when you're working with somebody. I think it's very similar in the financial world, right? Finances and food are the two most important things you have to live and survive, right? It's true. It's true. It's the facts. And so I think it's very important that you have a connection with that person. And I know that I'm not for everybody, and that's totally fine. And so I recommend that they have a complimentary consult to come in, meet us or meet the dietitian that they're working with, and then talk about their goals, talk about our services, how we can help them, show them how we can help them. And if we can't, refer them on.
Sure. So what is it, like speed dating? You just go around to each one of your people, be like, this is what I'm looking for.
No, they have to schedule an appointment.
And then you get an appointment with one or like four, or you just each have your own superpower. So if I say something that somebody else is a superpower, you'd be like, oh, Janet's going to be great for you. Okay.
You got it. Exactly. So if somebody submits an inquiry on our website and says, hey, this is what I have going on, can someone help me? Yeah. And then I'll kind of send them off to the person I feel like would be the best fit for them.
Gotcha. Yeah. What's your success rate when people go through the whole process?
Well, I haven't actually calculated that before, but I would say there's so many different factors that are dependent on the person and not just us. And that's the hardest part, is that people can start with us and they can be successful. And it's like, what do you rate as success?
Yeah, define success.
Yeah, define it. Right. That's different for every person. Yeah. So some people, they get to their goal and they don't continue on with us, for maintenance. So then we don't know. Yeah, but that's still success.
Right. I agree.
But did they reach their goal? Are they happy? Those are to me, that's what makes us successful, is making sure that person either reached their goals and or they are happy.
It's good.
And healthy, for that matter. So
I like it. Okay.
So 100%, but
guarantee, 100%.
Guarantee.
I did not just say the guarantee word. All the people, regulators, he said, guarantee what? No. Okay. So what's the future for Expedition Wellness
all kinds of stuff.
What's your growth opportunity?
Yeah. You're right. We just graduated from Goldman Sachs.
That's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met. So I would say to start off, when I started this business, it was just me, right? And it was just nutrition.
Right.
And then as I met all of my clients and I'm talking to them, I'm like, we need something different. We need something that encompasses whole health. We need fitness in a different perspective. Because I think there's a different place for everybody. Like my husband works at Genesis. Yeah, a lot of people like the box type gyms.
Yeah.
Some don't. Some people like more of like a CrossFit or a class setting. Some people don't want that at all. And as I talked to more and more people, I was like, well, we need to have an option, especially for women that don't feel comfortable doing any of those things and truly just want one-on-one personal training.
Right.
So we offer that now. We have mental health coaching.
Oh,
we offer that now. And then we have macro-minded meals because again, I work with a lot of busy women that just need help and they don't want to have to do it all by themselves. And I'm not just saying women, there's obviously we have men as well. And it's just nice to have that meal so that they don't have to think about every single meal.
Yeah.
And so my whole business now has these 4 different divisions between nutrition, fitness, mental health, and meals. And we're able to help the whole person versus just nutrition.
One component.
Yeah. So the future
is
to have all of that under one roof.
It's great.
There we go. That's the future. So we're working on that.
Good for you.
Yes. And who knows, maybe offering different things in the future. I'd love to have the ability to draw labs. I'd love the ability to be able to cater different nutrition things based on their labs. Like how cool would that be?
Yeah.
Even as far as like vitamins and all that kind of stuff. So lots of fun things to come.
Very cool. Love the future. Love the future.
Thank you.
Okay. So if our listeners want to hear more about you or Expedition Wellness, where do they go?
So our main website is expeditionwellnesscoach.com. That's the main page. I would say our social media is a great place to go. We're very active there. We post in the stories every day. We have some education. We have some fun stuff. We have, different events and things like that. So that's Expedition Wellness Coach for both Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And then we're also on Pinterest, of course, because we share recipes.
That's where you started your stuff.
Exactly, right?
Good.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. So again, thank you for just impacting not only just like the people around you, but like also like probably people that are on the peripheral that are just like getting inspiration from the little things that you're doing. Sometimes I feel like we just don't know that. Like only the people that walk in the door are the people we're impacting. I don't think that's true. And I just love your passion. I love your pursuit. You're driven. You're determined. You're passionate, and you're multitasking in many ways. And so good job. If you have any questions for myself or any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. It's 515-446-8158. And then again, we are just encouraging you to like get on the bridge and jump off this proverbial bridge because your parachute's going to open. And it's really neat to then reflect on all the ways that, somebody has helped you through this. And so shout out to Brian. I just want to say like, that's been such a probably instrumental part of your journey. So again, this is a podcast we try to encourage people just to pursue their passion. Obviously, Jess is doing that. So you've been listening to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. I've been your host, Phillip Ramsey. Until next time, go be uncommon. Thanks for listening.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.